Good morning. Welcome back to the vlog. This morning is pancake morning and my MioMat is beeping and she's telling me that it is time to empty her out. See, I told you, it's just a nice soft little beep. My MioMat, I will leave it in the link below. Love, love, love her. So, let me just take you over here and I'm going to show you a little bit of our pancake morning going on. That one kind of made a mess. I can't do this with one hand. But anyway, pancakes this morning. Beautiful, beautiful pancakes. And we are all enjoying them. I hope you're all having a beautiful, wonderful, peaceful morning too. And we're going to jump into it today. Okay, so I'm all set up. My two big chickens are back here in the pot cooking down, and I have my pot here of chicken meat. I did all the broth yesterday, canned that up, but the chicken meat and the bones obviously are still there. So I'm going to be going through a process now, just taking all the meat off of the bones and putting it into a bowl, and then taking all of the bones and putting them into my Instapot here that I have filled with just cold water, and I will bring y'all along for that. Okay guys, so it's all separated out. I think I did a pretty good job with it. Just some scraps there for the dogs. They will enjoy that. And then over here is my bones. And I'm gonna go ahead and put them in my Instapot and then let them cook for 2 hours on high pressure. If you want to do 3, you can do 3, but 2 hours on high pressure is what's recommended. And then over here is just a big, nice bowl of meat. So we have just a nice mix of white and dark meat. So I'm gonna put that in some jars and can her up. Okay, I'm back. So I have my meat here, I have my jars, and I'm going to be pressure canning. These are quart jars. I'm going to be pressure canning them for 90 minutes. I have salt. I think that's optional. I'm going by the Ball Home Canning book. So it's saying that for a quart jar, I could add, if I'm using salt, 1 teaspoon of salt. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that to kind of, I'm thinking maybe just preserve the flavor a little bit. And then I have my chicken broth from here. This jar I did not can, so I kept this in the fridge. So I'm just gonna use this broth to fill up my jars. So here we go. I'm gonna get my hands messy here. Okay guys, my chicken is in my jars. So from 2 backyard chickens that are not meat birds, we ended up getting 2 quart jars of meat, and I'm really happy with that, guys. That is really awesome. And see, this is where your broth is going to shine, because if you're raising birds only for meat, you're missing out on the biggest bang for your buck, guys. Is the broth, the chicken broth, and then go ahead and use those bones because you raised good healthy birds in your backyard. Use those bones and make your bone broth. If you're buying bone broth at the store, you have to trust all the labels and And guys, it adds up and it's expensive when you're just buying all of that broth. So I'm really tickled to death just to get these 2 big quarts of meat. It's meat that I know how it was raised and where it was raised and what it was fed and all of that stuff. And you know what? It might not look like a lot, but we could make a dinner out of just one of these jars for our family. I can add this to rice. I can make a stir fry. I can add it to soup and make a big pot of soup. I could do like a chicken chili soup or just a chicken noodle soup. We could make chicken pot pie. Yeah, just so endless. A big casserole with chicken in it, chicken nachos. Like, there's so many different things that I can do with just 1 quart of chicken. So even though it does not look like much, this is 2 meals for our family, and I am very happy with that. I mean, what did it take me here? Like 10 minutes to actually put it in the jars. But remember, it's that whole cycle. It's the hatching out the eggs or buying those baby chicks if you can, and then raising them up and doing this whole thing. So what you're seeing here is a completion of a whole year's cycle. Now you could do it in probably 9 months, but for us, it's been about a year. Last spring is when we started hatching out all of our own baby chicks and moving towards this process that you're seeing here today. So following the guidelines in the ball book, it says just to go ahead and dampen your rag with some white vinegar. And this is just gonna cut the grease and just keep your jars really, really clean. So you just wanna wipe the rims with that white vinegar really well. And then what I like to do is you generally use a separate washcloth or rag, or some people like paper towels. And then I like to do a dry wipe too, but I'm only doing 2 jars right now, so I can just use the clean dry side of this rag. It's fine. So I just like to kind of go right on the top of that jar and wipe again to make sure it's really, really clean. Okay, my lids are steaming over here. I'm gonna get my lids on my jars. Okay guys, so my jars are all ready to go in my canner. I know this is kind of a funny place to can, but the way that our electric is run in the house is that it will blow circuits on me if I have my Instapots going and my canners going all on the same circuit. So I have to sometimes like can in kind of not in my kitchen. So anyway, welcome to my living room. We're canning in the living room today. Probably a first canning video ever, I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna put these in here. And these Nesco canners, I'm telling you what, I absolutely love my Nesco canner. I did have the big traditional pressure canner as well, but I really love my little Nescos because I'm a busy mom and these babies can work and they can can for me while I am doing other things. So like yesterday when I was working all day long in the pantry, I had my little canners going. I do that all the time. I multitask. I put stuff in the canners first and then I go out in the garden, or I put stuff in the canners first and then I start my homeschool. So these little babies can really help you if you're busy. It can really help you multitask. So I have 2 of them, and honestly I use them all the time. So each one fits 4 quart size jars. So for me, I can do 8 quarts at a time if I need to. So anyway, without further ado, let us start the canner. So we just turn it on to exhaust, and then for this I need to pressure can them for 90 minutes. So I'm gonna go ahead. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and set this up for 90 minutes. So I click high. I know you guys probably can't see this. And then I'm gonna set my time for 90 minutes. And she does what she needs to do. So she'll go ahead and get all up to pressure and up to the right heat. And while it does that, it'll exhaust and it'll let off steam. And my children are older. I don't have little toddlers in the house anymore. My youngest is gonna be 4, and they are well trained and aware that steam can burn you worse than fire. So I would not recommend doing this if you have little ones crawling around, little toddlers that can't understand safety. That's going to be a really dangerous situation. So you might have to do that like in your kitchen the traditional way. But my little ones understand. They're big enough to understand safety and steam. So this works out just fine for me. So I'm gonna let this go. It'll exhaust and then it'll beep when it gets up to pressure, and it'll count down to 0. When it gets to E0, I just simply turn this just like that, and it closes up the gasket so that there's no more steam coming out, and then it will begin to count down and time the amount of minutes that it needs to be under pressure that I programmed into it. So anyway, guys, that is literally all you do with these things. It's kind of set it and forget it. The only thing I have to do is be around to listen for the beep and when it gets up to pressure, and then be around to do this. And then that's it. Honestly, the rest, I could leave this thing until tomorrow morning and take the jars out tomorrow and they would be just fine. And I've done that, and I've gone to bed and I've taken jars out in the morning. Actually, I did that today. Again, I woke up this morning and I took all of my jars out from yesterday. It's just fine. If you got to go to bed, you got to go to bed. The canning will all be there in the morning. So onwards and upwards. I got to get some homeschool done. Okay, so here are my jars from yesterday. I'm just going to label them and date them and put them back into my pantry. Alright, the next thing that I just want to show you is just a little trick that I actually learned from Homestead Heart. So, Homestead Heart, somebody share this with her because this is a total game changer. So all I do with my rings is I loosen them. I just loosen them. That's it. And then I store them like that on my shelf. My rings store with my jars. If you want to, you could take the ring off, wipe everything down, and then put the ring back on, and do it that way too if you are, if that's more like your system. Everybody has a different system for their kitchen and how they can. It's all a little different. There's rules, but then we all kind of have our own methods that kind of develop. So this is a great one that I learned from Homestead Heart. I'm really thankful to have learned this because now I don't have to worry about storing all of these rings, because guys, the rings add up and it's just like, where am I gonna put them? I'm gonna have bins and bins and bins of rings. So anyway, the rings are right there on the jars. When I use a jar, I wash them up and I put them right back on the jar, put them back on my shelf, and have empty jars with the lids and the rings all stored, ready to be used again. So that is that. I'm gonna put these babies in my pantry. I'm a pro videoer. There you go. Sorry about that. Little bumpy ride. So here we go. Here are my chicken, my quarts of chicken going in, and okay, so I think I'm going to end the video here for today. I think y'all been hanging out with me for most of the day now, and I have plenty more canning to do. I have those 2 big chickens that are cooking on my stove. That will be broth, and it's going to be a lot more meat. Then I will take the bones off of them. I will put them in probably tomorrow in my Instapot, do more bone broth from those 2 chickens. Plus I have the bone broth today from the Instapot from these 2 chickens. So yeah, thanks so much for joining me. I'm so glad that we can share our adventures in canning and homesteading and being a homemaker and all of these things. They're good things, and they're good things to think about, and they're things that we can do every day to help manage our homes, create a peaceful atmosphere in our home, and to serve the people that we love so much and that are so dear to us. So without further ado, I hope you have a super blessed day. Love your people, love your husbands, love your children, do all the things. And until next time, I'll see you right back here on the farm. Bye-bye, friend.